Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 194, I was very lucky to have Katie Chonacas on. She is a actress, director, producer, writer, podcaster, author, yes, music producer, amongst many things. I've got to say, this lady is a joy to speak to, a joy to have on the podcast. We talked about many things, what drives her, what motivates her, what put her on this path of getting focused and getting things done, how she got her podcast started, and what she put down for her last birthday as a goal to achieve over a course of a 3-month period. All I've got to say is, if you want a little bit of drive, if you want a little bit of guidance, this is a lady to definitely speak to. So please sit back, enjoy the podcast. Please don't forget, subscribe. It really does help us a lot. And enjoy the show. Thank you very much, guys. Yes, enjoy. Peace. Go. Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 194, I'm very privileged to have, Katie Chonacas on. She comes in the class of one of those sort of non-stop people. Yeah, put it this way, if she ain't doing voiceover, acting, directing, producing, writing, like editing here and there, like doing short films, and just to throw things in there, hosting her own podcast. She's all over the place. With such a sort of, how can I say, lofty, high, energetic CV like that. What can I say? How are you today, Katie?
Wonderful. Thank you for asking and for the beautiful introduction. I love your voice and your energy. You're one with the world, and we need people just like you, your spirit. Thank you.
You know what? I've been like, people have dropped me a compliment here, dropped me a compliment there. All I've got to say is, yes, I will send you a check in the post. Don't try to cash it till 2025. They're like, well, 20.
Let's just do direct deposit. It's better to be paperless for the environment.
You know what? Yes, I'll make that direct deposit in 25.50.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, no worries. She'll never see this money. But hey, that's another story.
It's a manifestation. So you're putting it out into the ethers. So it's true, because that's where your heart center is.
So would you say you're a very spiritual person?
I guess so. I grew up Greek Orthodox Christian, and I grew up with Plato and Socrates and reading poetry and language and just being in spirit and inspired and growing up in the Greek Orthodox Church. So it really gave me a vibe of culture, and then being able to see principles and then applying that and observing that with Asian culture and European culture, all different cultures. Okay. Thank you, Stoa. That's not happening right now. Stoa, speaking of Greek, Stoa is Greek.
Her dog.
Anyone who's on the podcast, it's like Stoicism. So he's Stoa Homer. So he's one of the greats, Homers. Yeah. And he'll be joining us today. Okay. And so I like being in spirit and inspired and observing other people's culture and food and language. And I just feel like, since I grew up Greek Orthodox Christian, it really gave me an insight to go into the world with an open mind of food and culture and people and, unconditional love. So an energy and sharing and, what you would do for family with your heart, soul, and passion. So I think it is definitely a big ripple effect of who I am and how I lead my life.
Yeah, I can imagine with regards to yourself, you've been out in the States for 20 years now, or like longer. Like it must.
I grew up in the States. My dad's side of the family is from Greece, the island of Chios, and which is one of the largest Greek islands. Chios, Chios. You can see Turkey from it. And then my papu was from the mainland, Galaxy.
Okay. So like, did you spend a majority of your time between both countries, or was it a case of you were like, yes, America like was like first and foremost for all of your time, but you visited occasionally?
I've been traveling to Europe frequently, so I definitely want a place of my own there. We have a family monastery. We grew up going there, but I went to school here. I was raised in America.
Okay, so you must have got quite a sort of education by popping between Europe and the United States. Because look, as much as okay, English might be number of countries like language and stuff like this, there are quite a lot of differences, even in the States, I would say,
1000%, definitely. I took art history class. I was always into art. I was a teenager going to the Louvre, looking at the Mona Lisa, where kids in America were a bit naive and still adolescents and, into going out with friends and drinking and stuff. And I was just like kind of bypass all those things. And I was just really into traveling and seeking and seeing the world. So in Michigan, when you went to Canada, you only had to be 19. So I had a fake ID and I would go to Canada, as a kid. And then, so when everyone was 19 going to Canada, I was done with America. I was, going to Europe, and I was like going to Monaco and the south of France and just all these different places, connecting with international cultured, amazing human beings, listening to the best DJs in the world.
Because like for me, like the way you're talking, you've got a sort of real sort of passion, a hunger for life, if you get what I mean.
Oh, 1000. Definitely. I mean, it's so exciting. Even on my worst day, like if I could be having the worst day today, I'm not having the worst day. But if on my worst day, my friend Francesco Faga said it the best when, like in 2005, his mom's Natalie Trundy. Was a debutante. She was in Planet of the Apes, amazing, right? But he said, on your worst day, you have it better than most. And when you look at it that way, it's like, really, on your worst day, whoever's tuning in, the viewer and the listener, it's just a privilege to be on a podcast, having the quote unquote time, the luxury to be entertained, to listen to something that's going to excite you or add inspiration for your life. It's just such a beautiful gift. So when we get to the simplicity of just that, being able to breathe, which we take for granted all the time. But now, in the last year and a half, things have changed because it's like, oh, just being able to breathe, it's like, it's so simple, but it's so detailed. And I feel like with everything that's happening, I'm always able to get to that simplistic, minimalistic space of just to be alive is such a gift. Like no matter what happens in between, just to be alive, and we have the power to make choices moment to moment. And it could be a choice to enhance and evolve our life, or it could be a choice to dismantle and take something out to improve our lives, right? That's what I'm always working towards, like pulling the roots, pulling the seeds to get rid of the duds in my garden, to clear the way to be able to plant new soil and new seeds in life. It's all about planting the seeds, watering it, nourishing, and having it grow.
Yeah, because like this is the thing you mentioned, breathing, which is like okay for most of the people on this world who are fit, healthy, and like fit, healthy, and well, breathing is just an automatic reaction. You don't consciously have to take that breath. It just happens. I think a lot of people in life just live it on that sort of automatic reaction. Now, when you sort of take a deep breath and you hold it, you're quite aware of everything what's going on with yourself physically. Would you say you're a type of person when it comes to life, you've like taken a series of deep breaths so you can like really take in the moment? Would you say?
Oh yeah, I I practice meditation. My music partner, Nikki Scorpio, just turned me on to Soul's Journey about a month ago. It's a free app. And I've been listening to the Gateway Process, and it's a guided meditation. So I'm always doing something, or I'm always being, and just having a space to create. See, everyone has their 100. So what I tell my coaching clients, when you get to your 80, stop there. Leave that extra 20. When you're going to go into a project like, oh, this is my 100%, I'm going to give it my all. No, your 100, my 100, whoever's tuning in, they're 100. It's all different. So go to 80. Leave that extra 20% for reading a book, to catching up with a friend, to watching TV, to reading something, to just sitting and breathing, doing a meditation, taking a bath, Epsom salt, like doing something that's going to inspire us, go on a walk, like, simple things that whatever, tickles your fancy, but leave that 20% for self, for the unknown. Because if we're in the age of, they say, burn out. So if we aren't burning ourselves out because we're going to 80 and saying that's our new 100, we're allowing that 20% buffer, like when you're in a car and you have those brake pads and the rotors, and you have the pads to protect, before you have to rotate and change new brakes. So do that for the body temple so we can rejuvenate. And I've always done that at a very young age. I was really into, spas, massages. I was an athlete growing up. So I had meets twice a week. So I'd get massages twice a week as a teenager. While other kids were out spending money on who knows what, I was getting student massages for like $30 an hour.
Yeah. But like, this is the thing. Look, okay, here's the thing. I got to push back slightly on the whole 80% thing, because look, here's the thing. Okay. For example, we take a look at, I'm not going to look at myself, but we take a look at you, right? Okay. Now, my lady, you are not what I would say a person which is taking things lightly. Between being in the entertainment as an actor for 20 years, like going into the voiceover and like work as well, doing short films. Doing short films. Here we go. Doing your podcast, your YouTube channel, and your book, to name the least. So what is 80% in your life? Because you, look, this is the thing, you are going hard in the paint. Like each of those, it's just like, yeah. So you're trying to tell me you're just going at 80%? It's a lot you're doing. And look, I commit, like, bravo. But it's a lot.
See, everyone has a different capacity. So for example, for me, I'm going for 3 days to this resort with my girlfriend, who's also a producing partner, and we're just going to go relax. So when you're in relax and repair, and you're repairing yourself on a cellular level, you actually can get more work done. I can maybe listen to some podcasts. I can maybe read a book that's going to inspire me, that's going to fuel me for my creative energies, for my work, my life, my profession. But I'll be with my girlfriend, and we're at there's these 3 pools, and they have over 52 minerals in them that we need for our bodies to replenish. So I take time and I take moments for myself, and I'm really honored and proud to do this. So I always make sure, even though it seems like a lot's going on, there's always that space of non-resistance and that space of the unknown that I gift and leave to myself, because I am of the world and I am a gift from the universe, as we all are. So I need to make sure I get to homeostasis and be in a garden and do things that are nourishing my heart and my soul, so I can be the best for myself, so I can be the best for you and everyone else and my friends and family. So I'm a ripple effect. We're only as good for the world how we are within our own selves. And that's a practice and a discipline to endow those qualities.
I hear you. But I still have to ask, like, this is the thing, where you're at today.
Yes.
with like, yes, your 80% capacity, as high as it is, which I'm complimentary about it. Did you always have that high capacity, or has it been something you've gradually worked on getting? Like, say, like, yeah, if this was 25 years ago, like, yes, but a young teen running around, like, yes, in Michigan, like, were you doing a podcast or doing that, would that have been just it? You did track twice a week, you said earlier, as well as your other studies. So did you work on getting better along the way to increase that capacity? Or was it just like, yes, I've always
had the energy. And I think we all have that energy. It's just if we tap into it or not. You have that abundance of infinite energy. You know it. Like you have this energy about you, and it's your gift, you know, it's my gift. And I think if we know how to tap into that energy, but I feel like just everything is abundant. There's enough for everyone to go around. I've always had it. I ran cross country. So I had short-term, medium-term, long-term goals. I had a lot of foresight and insight. My dad was a cross country runner. So he gave me the framework of cross country, and what I did as an individual affect the whole, because it was a team sport. But what you do as an individual, you know, is places you, but then it affects the whole team. So I applied that principle to life. What I go out and do in the life with my friendships, with my work, it's going to be an effect for everyone else. But I knew I had the energy and the ambition. I just was like so crossed about it. I didn't know how to get the trains on the train track. And they were all crashing into each other and falling down. And they were all falling down because in my egoic mind, I was so scared to actually have success, fear of success, because if I felt like if I got on these train tracks and they took a life of their own and they went, I would die afterwards. I felt like there would be nothing left for me. So I was so scared. I would build things up and I would be so amazing. And it would be like right here, like a carrot dangling right in front of my face. And then I would drop it and I would run. And I would do that with everything I did: music, acting, comedy, DJ, everything. I wanted to start my podcast 8 years ago.
But why run? Like
self-sabotage. I was scared.
Okay. Like basically fear of success.
Totally.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So basically.
So the one thing I would like to say about what you said, I had all that energy, but I don't want to say it's wasted, because you learn energy is energy and you can apply it and you learn and grow from it. But there's a lot of energy that went this and this way. So that's why I was always seeking mentors and people to like guide me at like what is success, how to be successful, because I was running around, you know, and I don't want to say it's quote unquote wasted energy, because you learn from everything. But if I knew what I knew now, everyone could say this, right? If I knew what I knew now, you know, 15 years ago, then, you know, you would have ironed out those kinks a lot sooner. But I'm here now.
No, I hear you. And like, this is the thing. You are a very energetic, bright, bubbly person. Way of light. But like with regards to the sort of energy, like when you've got energy going off in all directions and it's not focused, you're like, yes, the true potential of what that energy can do. Like, it's like, imagine a steam train, if you will. When you're putting that pressure through a piston, you're getting that drive going forward in a direction. It might but if you just let that go in all directions, like from a big faucet, it will not give that drive from going from maybe 4,500 horsepower or whatnot. It goes into nothing. It's still 4,400 horsepower, but it's not going in any direction. So what gave you, like, where did you get that sort of like, wait, hello, stop getting in your way, kid. It's time to like, yeah, really go for it. What was that epiphany moment?
I had different layers in my life where I felt like what you just mentioned, but I even think just recently, you know, just because of the pandemic, I was able to really stop and reflect and just do the internal work and just get so still with self within. Even though I was still actively doing things, I was able to really hone in my craft and uplift TSP, the Sophisticated Psychos, my brand as an actor, Katie Chonacas, my podcast, and take the leap of faith to trust to have other people help me, because I was just independent, doing it all on my own. And yeah, I can do it on my own. And yeah, I've done it on my own, but there's limitations. But when I allowed more trust, I was so scared to let anyone know my passcodes. I was so scared to let anyone know internally what was going on. And so when I did this for the first time, just in March of 2021, and I just opened up this trust, and I just really feel like things started shifting from that. I just really needed to, because I was all about trust, and I'm so about trust, but I needed to trust even more.
Okay. Yeah. All about trust. But I would imagine this is the thing, trusting someone with a project or something, which, it's akin to a newborn in the world. And if you've been sort of nourishing, taking care of that project, wherever it might be, finding that person to trust to be on your team isn't an easy task, because let's just say there can be a number of knuckleheads out there. Trying to sift through that ain't easy,
Yeah, especially in today's technology, when you have a BVA, a business virtual assistant, you're not even meeting people. You're going off the resume recommendations, off of, their work ethic, what they say. And I mean, you have to be very careful. And that's why it's important for me, when I do something, I'll go off my intuition. But then when it's something like that, I'll ask for a referral. I'll ask other people and see what they say about it, instead of doing it all by myself, so then it takes the stress off, and it makes it more fun and more enjoyable. So that's been really important for me during this time.
So would you say you're a student of the Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Work Week?
Well, honestly, I've downloaded it so many times, and I need to listen to it on overdrive. But I love Tim Ferriss, and I definitely would want him on my podcast. What?
I said, wouldn't we all?
Yes. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. So the other thing I would like to share, though, this woman, Sonia, my sister, Anna Chonacas, actually taught me about the human design. And do you know your human design?
No.
So you can go to mybodygraph.com. It's free, and you can find out your human design. And so my sister taught me about my human design. And then I found a specialist who studied under Jenna Zoe, Zoe. She's actually, I think, and she's in London, Jenna Zoe.
Okay.
And so I found this woman, Sonia, and I had her on my podcast. And I'm a projector. And so she gives an in-depth reading about projectors and the 4 other, areas. But for me, I'm the gift of the invitation. So when someone invites me, and it's wild because I've always kind of acted this way in life. If someone invites me to an event, or someone invites me to wherever, then I know they're going to know my name. They're going to have, my name printed. They're going to have my seat ready. The photographers are going to know who I am. I'm going to go to a dinner. Everything's going to be taken care of. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be nice because I was invited. However, if I go somewhere and I don't know someone, and I just show up and I have to say who I am, or explain myself, that's not a good situation for me. So the gift of the invitation it's so cool. But in life, 23% of the population are projectors. So there's manifestors, manifestor generators, there's reflectors, projectors. So what happens is I can literally just be twiddling my thumbs. And when I meet someone and they invite me to go somewhere or to be a part of a project or do something, I'm being gifted the invitation to energetically go in that direction, and it's going to be reciprocal. So when I was younger, running around going like this that we were talking about earlier, that was a waste of my time and energy. It was just, I was so excited at all this energy, but it was kind of running around a car and just wasting all this energy when the keys were in your hand the whole time and all you had to do is like stick it in the doorknob and open it, you know? So I've learned that along the way. It's my design. It's who I am. It's better for me to wait, which in life, I feel like there's two great things to practice, gratitude and patience. And I'm very good at my gratitudes. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's, you know, the gift of practicing patience, being so excited for all it to happen, because no one knows what's going on inside your mind. No one knows what's really, even if we share, they don't know deep down what's actually happening and the macro vision, you know, for our lives. So it's a lot. So yeah, the gift of the invitation.
Yeah, no, like this is the thing when like I do love the fact that you said gratitude and patience, because look, here's the thing in this day and age, look, there are like we as human beings, we like often forget gratitude, and with this 21st century sort of instant gratification society we live in, patience is something which is pretty much a stranger to most people. Like when I was a kid, like, yes, TV show comes out. Yeah, if you wanted to watch the next one, you had to wait a week, be there at a particular time, like it was church. And yes, if you missed out or you missed the season, it would disappear for God knows how long before it came back, but it seemed like forever and a day. Today, don't have that problem. Netflix, like Amazon, Disney Plus, pick one. You just like, yeah, you can watch a whole season like that. You can watch it anytime, doesn't matter where or when. And yeah, there's no need for it. But like the thing I often look at and go, yeah, where people fall down, if you don't have patience, that's one thing that you can work on that. But if you don't have gratitude, that means you don't actually see value for what you've got in this world. And like, yeah, how well you might have it over like your neighbor or your like the next person, you know?
When I was 14, well said, I remember I watched Oprah. Two things I love. I love so many things about Oprah, but two things. I saw one, the very first bamboo school ever in Bali. And I'm like, oh, this is so eco-friendly, so sustainable, so great for kids to be in a school made out of bamboo. I'm a jungle baby. I'm like, this is how, like, I want to, this is the lifestyle of how I want to live and raise, you know, a family, children one day, God willing. The other thing, number one, is gratitude. And she did an episode on gratitude, and I got a journal when I was 14, and it was very simplistic. It was, you know, I was 14. So it's like, I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my mom, my dad, my yaya, my grandma, who's my best friend. I'm grateful for my hair. I'm grateful for my eyes. I would just be so grateful for all the things I was grateful. And I've always practiced and had gratitude journals since then. And I've always shared that with people to be a ripple effect and have this deep gratitude. And it's like when you have these gratitudes, you're manifesting, right? When you're like, oh, I'm going to send you that direct deposit in 2050, but you're manifesting and you're energetically putting it out there, you know, whether it happens or not. You set the intention for it to be in motion, and we tell the universe, and there's that universal law. That's why people are like, make a date. You do a date. You're like, here's my hard stop. Because you're putting an anchor in the universe. You're showing the universe, you're taking this collective energy and you want to focus it straight forward towards this anchor of a collected goal. And then what happens is sometimes that's the hard stop and that's it. I'm gonna start messy. I'm gonna do it and that's it. But I'll get a call for something and it's like, oh, I have to put myself on tape for Amazon for a new TV show. And it has to be in by, 12 o'clock tomorrow. I'll have to stop everything I'm doing, move any appointments that I have. I'll have to make sure I'm well nourished, properly nourished, that I'm in a good space mentally, because there's a lot of work to do for the craft, right? So it's very important to and that's a hard stop. Like no matter what, I need to have that in by 12 o'clock. Now, in the gift of life, there's also the opportunity where you do a hard stop, even if you think you're not going to be able to get it done. Like, I'm just setting this date, but then you're like, oh, okay. Actually, I'm going to need 2 more weeks on this project. Oh, I'm going to need 2 more days on this project. So it's an interpersonal game that you can make with yourself to be like, okay, here's the hard stop. Just put a pin in it, but then allow grace and don't look, I've done it in the past. Like I'd be so hard on myself because it wasn't exactly right, or if it wasn't exactly done how I want it to get done. I've learned through friends that friends have totally helped me in community to be gentler with myself. And if something's off, just be messy and go with it, because we're creating so much and life's just going to continue on. It doesn't matter if there's a typo in the spelling. It doesn't matter if the audio is a bit off. That's what it was. It is what it is. Gary Vaynerchuk, he walks around like on his podcast or like a 5-minute thing. And he's like, it's about the content. There'll be like sirens going and taxi cabs, like honking, but it doesn't matter. Like you just want to, it's about the content. You know what I mean? So it's about the idea and the energy of doing it. It doesn't matter the egoic state of how we want it to look, comparing ourselves to everyone else, especially on social media that you were talking about. Like it's a death threat comparison, you know?
Yeah. Like this is the thing. You mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk and like, yes, about just, producing content, like content. But I would say this, in life, it's about the doing. Yes, you can like throw out a call to the universe. I want to see, like, go to this place, this distant land, in the next 2 years. Now, if you just say that to the universe and go, yeah, and then you like get a paper, you sit down and you just start reading the paper, the universe will take one look at you and go, oh, okay, fine. But like, okay, if you put down that paper and you went just down the road, you might bump into this person who's randomly there, who knows a little bit more about that place you want to go to. Like the doing and putting the work in is the most important thing of all. Like when Gary Vaynerchuk says content, like all he says to me is, look, get off your backside, start doing, do the work, and look, if you want that thing to happen for you, there's no guarantees by all means. But if you're not actually being active to move yourself forward, it ain't going to happen one way or the other, you know?
Yeah. In action, energy, emotion. Energy is just energy. If you're like, oh yeah, I want to go to Alaska or wherever, and you're just like sitting there, your energy is just staying stagnant. But if we're out there talking to people, like you said, you're going to meet someone, or we're out there talking to people, we might meet a partner, or someone say, hey, I want to come with you. Oh, let's start a group. Let's all go together. Or, hey, let's do this together to earn X amount of funds to go there. And hey, maybe I want to film it or video it, or, you know, and it's just by talking and posting about it and just like looking at YouTube videos and manifesting, but being in action, taking 1 step per day or 10 steps per day towards that goal, then you're moving in the good direction. And maybe you don't get there in 2 years, maybe you get there in 4, you know what I mean? But the goal is to get there. You know, it doesn't matter like when we say the exact time and date is, because guess what? We're living in this thing called life, and stuff happens for all of us.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, yes, anyone who planned the holiday in 2020 surely knows that with like good left and right hook. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Definitely. Mm-hmm.
Like, so with this, like, okay, so you do not strike me as a person which, like, pays a lot of heed to procrastination. So what would you say to someone with regards to, if they've got that sort of procrastination thing of like, this, that, the other?
Well, I'll honestly tell you, there's what?
Okay, easy, Tiger. You look like you're about to explode.
Yeah. Well, in simplest terms, I hack it. HACK, hack. I hack it. I will ruminate with my own thoughts. And I'm like, I've been saying this for a couple weeks now. I'll just do it. If anything that takes 10 minutes or less, I do it right then and there. I don't put it off, because then 300 things add up. Anything that I learned when I was really young, before the 4-hour work week, before that was even around, anything that takes 10 minutes or less, do it right then and there.
Okay.
Send an email, make a call, leave a message, put the laundry away, whatever it is, just 10 minutes or less, just do it and get it done. And when you do that, we have 12 main chakras, 7 main chakras in our body. And our third one is yellow, the solar plexus. And it's self-empowerment, and it's our worth. And a lot of people had troubles in life or having troubles with self-worth and building self-worth and like ripping self down. I've had experience with it. So when you say, I'm going to go, something so simple, go get the mail, and you don't do it, your little voice says, oh, you were going to get the mail and you didn't do it. And you start griping and tearing yourself down. If I'm going to do the laundry, and then you don't do it, then people get into a depressive slump that they don't trust themselves because they're not being honest with themselves, authentic with self, to say that you're going to do something so simplistic like make dinner, you know what I mean? Or like go to the store to pick something up, and then it's 8 months later and like the knob's not fixed on the door and it's 8 months later. Like, you know, it starts with something that simple. So when you do something like, I'm going to go get my hair cut, or I'm going to go on a run, or I'm going to go on a walk or a bike ride, anything, or anything. When you do it, the smallest thing or the biggest thing, but when you do the smallest thing, you do it, that you feel that hit of goodness. Like, oh, I did it. I did the laundry. Like, and those things add up, and it builds self-esteem, which builds confidence, which builds self-worth, which builds happiness, which builds health, which, you know, so it's so good. When we say we're going to do something, we have the power of the word. So when we say we're going to do something, that we do it. And then if we don't do it, don't hook ourselves. Say, oh, maybe I was going to do this, but actually doesn't align with who I am and my goals now. So I don't want to do that, but I want to do this instead, you know? And then you go for that thing, whatever it may be. So I totally hack. And I'll call myself out. I'm like 10 minutes or less, I'll do it. If it's something and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to release this, like just this week, I'm like, I have 3 EPs since the beginning of the pandemic, 5 EPs. I've let out 2. I have 3 more. They could have already been out. They're not out. I said this week, Katie, don't let yourself go through this week without scheduling it on my distribution and having a set date. So I did that. I put the music together, and I put, instead of having all these EPs, I took 2 of them, the dubstep and the future trap one, and I put them together because they're kind of similar in the vibes of the people who would like the music. Instead of making them separate projects, I'm consolidating because it'll be less money and fees for me by having the projects be on one platform instead of 2 different projects. Also, I decided I'm releasing it on 11/11, my birthday. So I'm proud because I put these 2 things together, I consolidated, I saved money, and I set the date to have it go out on my birthday. And so next and then I'm already in motion to have the artwork done, which will, you know, take an hour. So that's kind of an example of something where I'll like kind of consolidate and make it happen and just do it. So it's off my plate. And when it's off my plate, I have more free space for more creations to come in and for me to have more beautiful conversations with you.
Oh, well, what can I say? There we go. Oh, looking spiffing. Oh, there you go. Look at the eyebrows. It's like, oh, yeah.
You should contact Kevin Hart. When they need like his London brother, you should totally be his London brother. You guys would vibe, I think.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe. We shall see.
Reach out to his team. Let him know who you are. Let him see you and hear you. I guarantee he has a great mind in his production. Wow. You just have to show up. Be like, yo, I was on this podcast with this actress and she says I could be your brother from London, you know, and he'll probably put you in a movie or a bit or something like that in his stand-up.
Like, this is the thing. Like, look, one day there's a number of people I want to go and speak to, and like, yeah. But like, the whole thing is where I am and my stage of life. Like, it's one of those things. If I go to someone like Kevin Hart, it's a case of, okay, all like in that sort of dynamic, it would be more me sort of taking rather than sort of being able to like go, okay, I've come to you and look, I can give you value and like help you in this way. I know like if we work together, I'll get something back, but I can also offer you this of like, not so like sort of equal value, but like sort of a different type of value, which can help them like elevate themselves onto the next level. What I think a number of people do when they like, oh yeah, I want this from that person, I want this from that person. It's like they're taking, but it's like they're not trying to sort of like balance it out. And look, there are times where yes, you will be in a deficit in life, But if you try to go to someone and help them, if you want help from themselves, like for yourself, but if you can do that on much more of an equal footing, you're both benefiting, you're both growing. Like, as they say, a high tide rises all ships. And like, I try to take that approach because it's like, if you fall into that trap of like, yeah, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that, it's a sort of very sort of negative path it can lead you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would never go in with saying, give me. It's like, this is what I want. And then what else is possible? So you, like, for example, contacting Kevin Hart, he doesn't know you. He comes up, I think, like, he comes up with these ideas, and by you showing up and saying, hey, I'm alive, I'm in the planet, I'm actually here, you're doing him a favor and his team a favor, because you're bringing him so much value of who you are authentically, that then he'll build upon that. He'll see the gem and then he'll be able to polish it, So I think it would be a great value for he and his team to know who you are. Hey. You never know. Yeah.
Indeed. You never know. You never know.
You never know what people are thinking. Dr. Joe Dispenza says we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, right? 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts. You're just waking up, brushing my teeth. I'm looking at the Instagram. I'm remembering who I am. You become your personality. But when you're a creator in entertainment, and you're kind of out of the box and you're able to dismantle those same repetitive thoughts by doing things that inspire you, by doing the unthinkable and doing things by taking risk. Like, even though one puts a cap that, oh, this is what it's going to look like. But if we take that cap off, it's like, I'm just going to show up and be present and see what happens. That's the exciting part of the unknown, right? Which is that risky line of where people get feared and scared. And then there's that other side where it's like genius and very exciting. It's that infinite balance of, it could go this way or this way. That's what the sophisticated psychos mean. It means wisdom minds, right? It's walking that fine line of like genius with creativity. And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. And like, this is the thing. I am curious, like, because like, look, when you say, yeah, we have 90,000 thoughts every day. And like, yes, a lot of those thoughts are just cycled, like same thoughts again. Now, being humans as we're human, like being humans, like most of the times those thoughts, how can I say, they don't enter in the realm of the positive, let's just say. Now, what, like, is there any sort of techniques you use or practices you put into like place to sort of like keep you on that positive like realm?
Yes. I do so many things. The first thing I do is awareness. I'm aware that I'm doing it. If I'm judging myself or judging someone else, when I'm judging someone else, I'm only judging myself. So if I find myself this is one example. If I find myself scrolling on Instagram and I'm starting to like judge myself or start to feel bad, I just immediately turn it off. Yes. I'll hack my mind that I'll call myself that I'm doing it, and I'll say, okay, stop it. I won't be mean to myself, but I'll say, stop it. Esther Hicks is great. She has guided motivational meditations. She on YouTube. She has Spotify. I'll listen to a neuroscientist. I'll pop on Naval. I'll pop on Paul Chek, Chek. He has a podcast. I'll pop on Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'll put on Dr. Greg Braden. I'll get outside of my own mind to listen, to fill my cup up with clean, fresh water and get out of my own stuff. I'll go for a run. I'll get into nature. I'll watch a movie. I'll whatever I'm doing that's perpetuating more of what I don't want, I'll stop and dismantle, and I'll pivot and shift my energy, because attention goes where energy flows, and we only can be focused on one thing at a time. So that's why it's so important to like recognize and acknowledge the listener and the viewer tuning in, because they can be doing anything in the world, and they choose to be right here in this moment. and it's intentional and it's meant to be, whether we understand it on a like conscious, unconscious level or not, right? But it's we only can focus on one thing at a time. So if my energetic thoughts is saying something negative or making me feel bad, or it's just too much, I'll put on classical music. I'll put on electronic music. I'll make music, you know, to get out of my own head. I'll put that raw, whatever I'm feeling, I'll put it into Ableton. I'll put it in music. I'll write a poetry piece. I'll record a podcast. I'll call up a friend. I'll be like, yo, I'm feeling this right now. Like, do you want to do a podcast? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. I'll take the energy and I'll apply it to a canvas, right? So if it's a pretty canvas with rainbows, or like a really dark canvas, I'll doodle. I do doodling now, digital doodling. So I'll take that energy, or sometimes you just and you scream. There's so much therapy. Like one of my shaman Harry Paul, you can Google shaman Harry Paul. Shaman Durek has an amazing podcast. You would love him. Ancient Wisdom Podcast. He's fabulous. Shaman Durek, he's amazing. Durek. So, you know, I'll call up the shaman on Skype. I'm like, yo, I'm like feeling this. I'll get it out. I'll tell someone. If you don't have someone to talk to, you can journal about it. The important thing is to purge and get it out. It's called quantum detoxification. So we have all these psychological things that are happening and that keep playing over and over, like a car accident that happened 10 years ago, or my ex-boyfriend, or my ex-wife, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you're telling the same story. And when you're telling the same story, it's like an ocean wave that comes and goes. So we live in a world that is vertical, where the infinite source of energy, it comes from the sun, from the sky, the infinite energy from the world. And so we're living this way. But when we're telling stories that are horizontal, that are jagged from this situation that happened, that story of what happened becomes so real for an individual's life. And they're just telling that same story over and over. So I'll hack myself when I'm telling stories that aren't entertaining and fun. And I don't like to tell stories of things that were unfortunate, because I don't want to give them any more attention that they've already had. I say, how can I grow through this? What am I supposed to learn from this? Whatever's happening. Now it's like, oh, this happened to me. It happened to me again. Oh, it happens to me. So many people say that. They're the victim. Oh, I'm not the victim, but it just always happens to me no matter what. It just always happens to me. But I've learned, you know, from, you know, people before me and the teachings of some of the people I've mentioned, like Caroline Myss, MYSS, The Power of the Choice. She did a TED Talk on choices. It's amazing. And I'm like looking at, what am I supposed to learn from this? Anyone that triggers you, Tony Robbins, instead of saying F you, you say thank you. Even though you're like, F you, you know, you're actually then saying thank you, because when you get triggered, they're a mirror reflection of something that's happening from within for us to go on that discovery to work it out. So it doesn't agitate us and irritate us. And so we're not being mad at ourselves or blaming another individual. Blaming another individual is not helping. When we don't blame and we learn and grow, that's how we're evolving.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Like, yeah, like this is the thing. I often kind of look at it like this with regards to life. Like, look, when people look at their lives, it's a case of, you're meant to look to the past to learn those lessons from what mistakes you've had. But what tends to happen to a lot of people, they dwell on that past and they like get caught up in it. So it distracts them from their present. And in that present moment, they're like, if they are distracted, the sort of opportunities which could come along, they will miss them. So basically, they just stay in that past. Like, if you look to that past, learn from that lesson, you'll see, like, if that's happening again in the present, you can go, oh, wait a second. I remember what I did last time. Let me just take this sidestep this way. And yeah, you can then basically turn and sort of build for your future each and every day. And like, it is one of those things where it takes a lot of time and self-reflection to sort of get to that level. You strike me as a person who has done much of that in their time. Like, how long did it start to, like, when did you sort of like, right, let me start piecing this together? Like, when, like, you sort of like got past that sort of stage of like, okay, yeah, this was, yeah, I need to get out of this, but no, like
2012.
2012.
2012.
What happened in 2012?
Well, some context. I was this little girl. I traveled around the world. I went to everyone, multi-billionaires, multi-millionaires, homeless people on the street. Like, what's your story? I would listen to other people's stories and then I would ask like, how to be successful. What is success? Like, run, how far, left for how long? Like, I would just jump through all these hoops trying to be successful, like whatever it took to make those dreams come true. And then after I was traveling and I got so extroverted, so outside of myself, so past my own egoic state, outside of myself, and I listened to everyone else, I kind of unraveled in this labyrinth and lost myself. And it took a long time for me to discover and get to self again. Almost a decade, actually. But in 2012, I was in the south of France and I was at, Club Lee 55, 55, with like the 1% of the 1% of, the 1% of the world. And I'm in the south of France and I'm just like, okay, here I am, lonely. And I'm like, I'm going to go back to America and I'm going to do the internal work. I'm going to stay in one place for 1 year. And if I could be in one place and one place only, where would it be? So it was New York City. So I went to New York City and I could do anything. Fashion, New York Fashion Week, art galleries, acting. I studied with Susan Batson, who's Nicole Kidman's personal acting coach for, over 19, 20 years now. Oprah's acting coach, Julia Binoche. She's great. Susan Batson, she has an amazing book called Truth, whether you're an actor or not. It's a great book. It's a blue cover, TRUTH, Truth. Susan Batson, Batson. And so there I started doing the internal work where I studied on her program for 1 year, acting and the craft of acting and finding out what was going on inside. And her son, Carl Ford, we were in this one class and he just looked at me and he's like, you hate yourself. You hate yourself. He's like, and I told him a story. And he's like, when you were 17, you took little Katie and you put her into a prison cage. You put her into a cage, gave her no food and water, and you locked her up and you left her there. So then I went on this internal journey with Julia Cameron, The Artist Journey, The Artist Way. And I would like make dates with myself, coffee dates. I would take little K out. We'd go for a stroll. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? We'd go into a bookstore. We read Shakespeare. We'd go to a movie. We'd go get ice cream. And so I started making time for myself, where I said earlier when I said, instead of going to your 100, stop at your 80 and give that 20% for whatever. It's kind of like the same thing. I was ignoring myself and what I needed because I was so focused on what everyone else wanted and what everyone else needed. I was a people pleaser. I was people pleasing. And when you people please, you don't please anyone. And it's very dissatisfying. And, but I was so in that cycle of doing it. I didn't know not how to do it.
Yeah. I would say when you if you're a people pleaser, well, you do please everyone else, but you don't please the most important person, which is yourself.
Yeah. But sometimes we can't even please those people. Even some of them are pleased, but some of them are just never pleased. You know what I mean? We're never going to please everybody, but 1,000, everything you said, 1,000%. So I was doing that. That's when I did the internal journey almost a decade ago now. I've been doing that internal journey, and a metaphor is like, if you feel like you've lost your mojo, like I didn't know if I was going to get my mojo back. And I did. And not in the past, but as new, as me, as with all the stuff you were saying earlier about it's a reflection. There's no going back, because so many people are like, oh, I wish I could look like this photo from 5 years ago. Wish I could go back. But that's a wish. Get over it. We're not going back. But attune to your body and what we want now. And like take the past stuff that doesn't exist, right? Quantum detoxification, what serves us, keep it, and what didn't, dismantle it and just learn from it, like you were saying. And so that was you know, a struggle and a beautiful journey, and a journey of fear, a journey of intimidation, and a journey of, I was crying so much. I was just crying all the time, just trying to sort it all out, you know, like I was going to therapists, like thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Because everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people, instead of it's the situation, because of other people are in a certain circumstance, and if you're different, you'll say, oh, how am I different? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, but no, if you see Gabor Mate, Mate, when I first found out about him, I did a 16-hour binge, and I'm an advocate. And he demystifies trauma, and he talks about infancy and how we're all traumatized from when we were babies. And when we have that knowing and the blanket's off, it's not just like, oh, putting a blanket, like we're in a circle of people and someone comes to the group and starts talking and they leave, and then everyone starts talking about that person. Those people, how can they understand that person in 2 to 5 minutes when they don't even understand themselves within? How are we judging other people when they're saying something or doing something, when we don't have enough compassion for ourselves to know that maybe they're going through something like we all are, you know? So, yeah, that's kind of like a long-winded answer, but 2012.
No, 2012. Like, look, this is the thing. Going on the journey to find one's true, authentic self. It's like, it's not going to be an easy journey. And anyone who goes, yeah, you know what, I found myself, it was easy, and like, yeah, you know what I mean, I feel so much better, I feel like I've grown so much. I'll be like, oh, okay, so you're saying you liked every aspect of yourself? There wasn't any sort of hard questions which came up while you were on this journey? And if they go, no, it'd be like going, then I'll be like going, yeah, what you think is authentic, you need to really kind of look up the definition, because, like, truthfully, like, I don't know anyone who's truly looked at themselves and gone through their life and gone, yeah, I love every aspect of myself. There are things they have to work on, by all means, and like there are like some like sides which can be ugly at times to yourself.
Yeah. But and Khalil Gibran says it so beautifully. There's a poem, I love all his poems on love, but it's about joy and sorrow, and to understand the depths of joy and the joyousness of joyousness, one must understand the depths of the sorrow, right? Because when we understand the depths of the sorrow, then we can really appreciate the joyous of the joy, right? Like, we're having this conversation, and it's so exciting for me to be talking about these kind of things with you, connecting internationally. Like, these are so exciting. Like, this is exciting. This is play. This is fun for me. I'm making an impact. I'm showing up for myself. I'm showing up for you. I'm showing up for the listener and the viewer tuning in. Like, this is my roar, my call, my passion, right? This is what moves me, right? But there's no but, period. And then he also says, I'm going to botch up what he says, but he talks about, like, you have two sides of the bed. What side are you waking up on? You're waking up on the side of the joy, or you're waking up on the side of the sorrow. And that's a part of life. We have up, down, and in between. And one of my mentors beautifully said to me one time, it's how we respond to it, more balance. Not when something exciting happens, not too excited. When something bad happens, not too hard on yourself, not too down. Just kind of stay here, stay in the balance. He is a Libra, by the way. But and my sister's a Libra too. And my moon's a Libra. So, but I do have this thing about balance. You're a Libra too?
Yep.
When's your birthday?
September the 30th.
Oh, it's coming up. Yay. Happy early birthday. Very cool.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we have the balance, which is really important, because as an unfiltered artist, okay, there's this amazing book by Miguel, and he did the 4 Agreements, and he has another book called Mastery of Love. And he talks about stories and life as a canvas and how we create what we want on our canvas. And we create these stories. What story are we telling? What stories are we telling? Which, you know, let's create new stories. I lost it, but maybe I was just supposed to tell you about the 4 agreements and Mastery of Love. But yeah, there's something beautiful in that book I was going to share, but maybe it'll come back.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. So look, like this is the thing with all of the things you've learned over the course of time, everything like this. So what was the thing? What was the driving force? Which should have happened 8 years ago, but you like started more recently, 2 years ago.
Oh, the podcast. I wish I would have started it 8 years ago. I didn't know how to get on the train tracks. And I met this girl in my stand-up comedy class, and she's like, yo, want to be on my podcast? I'm like, okay. I'm like, how does it work? She's like, oh, I just bring the laptop, the mic, and she did it with people walking by, like so raw and real. I'm like, cool. I'm like, yo, like I've been wanting to do a podcast. She's like, oh, I'll just show you how to do it. We met up for coffee in the pouring rain. And she met me up. She was an angel, Isolda. She has the Innovative Mind podcast. She's doing very well. And she sat me down next to this art museum in a cafe. And she just signed me up. And she goes, when do you want to publish your first episode? I'm like, right now. And so we did it. I had YouTube videos from Katie's Corner that I was doing when I was going to become this YouTuber, because YouTuber was so cool. And I was going to do all these brand endorsement deals, blah, blah, blah. It's so saturated. But I was consistent with it. And we shot a lot. We shot 14. My producing partner, Alessandra Levy, shot 14 episodes in one day, 5 to 8 minute episodes. We shot 14 in one day. Insane. Anyway, we just stripped the audio from those. And it was the oak tree of Katie's Corner. It's the same oak tree of She's All Over the Place, of everything in business, arts, and entertainment with ethics, morals, and values. So the first one was on Katie's Corner, like, who am I? And then it talked about acting, modeling, DJ, state of DJ modeling 101. So that's how I uploaded every episode. It was who I was, and then the state of DJ 101, the state of acting, modeling, like, you know, all these things. So then that's how the trunk of the podcast started. And then I just started having people on the podcast. And then what happened was, in the pandemic, I went full on, and I was able to talk to my friends in the Congo, in Senegal, in Atlanta. Jimmy Williams, he's the president of the Blind Boys of Alabama, the gospel soul. And like, he's the only one that's not blind. I met him at the Grammys in 2005 or 2004. I think it was the 2005 Grammys. And so when we were all isolated inside, I was able to connect with my friends just like this, all around the world. My girlfriend from Greece, who was studying at the best nutrition school in Milano. And so we did it on belly fat and like bloating, and, you know, and so I would add value and entertain people and connect with these people internationally. And I had some great people on my show. And then I was like, okay, but how can I formalize this to make it so there's a structure? And Isolda, I reached out to my podcast community. She goes, why don't you make it seasons, like a TV show? And I'm like, oh, I'm an actor. Like, that makes sense. And so I put it on IMDb, and now I just have 3 successful seasons. In season 4, I'm doing a women empowerment series for the podcast. So I'm really excited about that, to endow in female identity and the feminine energy and what it is to be female and, you know, a woman, and hearing these miraculous stories, you know. We can get into that later, but that's kind of something I wanted to do 8 years ago that I'm hacking now. Do you want to ask a question for that? Because I have another thing I can share with you.
No, like, this is the thing. Like, I'm quite impressed, because look, getting a podcast on IMDb, that's one of the things which it's not really done that much. There are some people which do it, but most people don't. But like, yeah, that's like, yeah.
I just looked at Joe Rogan. His is on there. Why not? His is on there. So I just put mine on there like his. Yeah.
Yes, it's good enough for Joe Rogan. It's good enough for you.
So,
yeah. So with regards to like the sort of seasons, so is it just with one season, as you mentioned, you sort of covered just one particular topic area, and then like the next season it's the next topic, and then the next season is the next topic, and you build from there?
Well, season 3, the theme was poetry. I was releasing my poetry book. It was World Poetry Month. Like there was like World Poetry Day, then there's National Poetry Month. So I had poets on, and I was talking about my book, and I had people with a streamline of poetry. And if they weren't poets, they like maybe read a favorite quote by their favorite poet or something. So I had that theme. And then season 4, I themed it to be a women empowerment series. So they kind of have their theme, but then they're kind of all over the place under the umbrella of that theme. Yeah. So like I had Kelly, who's the president and CEO of ECOS, which is, you know, for Earth Day, for Earth Month. I had her on during Earth Week, and it was about the environment and, you know, being cleaner in our physical spaces, and then being more mindful with the brands that we buy. So that's poetic in a way of loving Mother Nature, right? It wasn't literal poetry, but it fit the vibe of, you know, poetry, because Mother Nature and, you know, making it poetic. So that was the theme. The other one thing I want to tell you, since I mentioned my book, is in the pandemic, I'm always like, when it's my birthday, I'm like, where's one place I want to go that I've never been? And I'll go. I'll be a kid in a candy store. But no one was traveling. So I wasn't traveling. At least I was not traveling. So I'm like, so I pivoted the question. It's the quality of our questions, right? What's one thing that I've always wanted to do that I haven't done yet? And I'm like, I've always wanted to be a published author. So I set the date, and I published my first poetry book. And that's something I've wanted to do since I was 12.
So how long did it take you to do your book? Well, the concept, poetry, but how long did it take you to put it together and get it out there?
Well, when I decided, my birthday gift to myself was to become a self-published author.
Yep.
I gave myself, I decided that for my birthday. And then I allowed myself 3 months. I said by the spring. So I gave myself December, January, February to research, to have it formatted, to have all the pieces, all the photos, the selection, and release it on World Poetry Day, March 21st, which is also my parents' anniversary.
That's an unusual form of kismet right there. Like, yeah, you know, hey.
I just put that together when I was releasing the book. That's always been their anniversary. It's always been on World Poetry Day. And it's like, what a great day to have love. Like, I mean, if those aren't signs right there, what is? Like you said, the breath earlier, like we're not even aware of our breath. Like that, we have so many gifts. Like my anniversary is on World Poetry Day. Like I have the ultimate love. Like, you know what I mean? It's like those things like that, to embrace those kind of things that we wouldn't normally think about, but make them special because they're gifts to us. And it's like what you were saying about the value and people not understanding the value by not having the gratitude.
Hey, what can I say? It's coming around full circle. Absolutely.
You're here. Yeah.
So you set yourself a birthday goal each and every single year.
To go somewhere that I've never been.
Yeah, to go somewhere you've never been. So now, for your next birthday, 11/11, like what are you going to do for that, I wonder?
Well, honestly, I've always wanted to go to Bali since I was a kid. I had 2 trips planned there, and I've been like psychologically there so many times. But, you know, with what's happening in the world, I just don't know if it'll be possible to still go there. But that was my goal for myself, to be there for December and January.
Right.
As a birthday gift.
So if you can't go, what would be that thing you would do? What's that thing you haven't done yet?
I'll release my second poetry book.
You release your second poetry book. Okay. Like, I do like the fact that you go, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it in this sort of set time. Like you really sort of set yourself a boundary. I don't say a goal, because what I often find when someone sets themselves a finite goal, I've got to do it by this time. People achieve that goal, it's very weird that the next day sort of depression sort of sets in, because it's like, yeah, that sort of thing, what was giving them that passion to go out there and do, has now sort of gone away, and they're in a sort of place of pain. But like, yeah, but with a boundary, it's like, yes, I've hit that boundary, and you still can go on Further. I like that. I like that a lot. So with that, um, where do you think you should like your direction's going to be going in the next few years?
Thank you for asking. I'm so excited to share and manifest and put it out there because this is what I'm going for. And it reminds myself, it builds on what I want and what the drive and focus is, which for me is now that I've experienced everything and been successful in so many areas, and I'm very grateful for that. My focus is to be a household name on TV and in animation, films and TV. So I want to be a household name on a recurring series, regular TV show and an animation TV show. God willing, it's meant for me to then turn a new leaf and start a family of my own and birth children, if that's, within my cards. And with doing animation, literally you can do it from your home studio. So I can still, raise children while watching video games and movies and stuff while I'm like auditioning and in them.
So would you say the animation, it's like for your future kids so they can go, yes, that mom does this?
Well, not only that, but for all to raise them, it'll be my source of income, my livelihood, so we can have nice lives together.
Yeah. So like how many sort of shows have you been working on so far for like the animation?
It comes in flow. I think Netflix, they announced, 13 new animations. So I definitely auditioned for some of their projects, which has been fun. I auditioned for a Disney one recently. Yeah, you really sign NDAs and everything's super exclusive because of social media and everyone being so connected. So we really can't even talk about names of projects or like what they're like or anything like that. But I'm so grateful to be in the creme de la creme of auditioning, and being on the mic and having them hear my voice. And I built a rapport with these casting directors and producers and, clients over the years. So it's, and my agent, who's the president of Vox, Tom Lawless, he told me, he's like, this is how it's going to be, and then you build and you build and you build. Right. And they don't see me, they hear me.
Yeah.
Right. But sometimes I'll get like, oh, this casting director is requesting you. Because they know my voice and the client wants my voice, my kind of voice. So they know who I am. They find you. So Corey B is a comic, stand-up comic from Detroit. I had him on my podcast. He lives in New York. He's so cool. He's like, you don't have to go to Hollywood. Hollywood finds you. He's right. They find you, TikTok, all the, people doing the shows and stuff. There was this one called back in the day, Shoes. Let's get some shoes. It's a YouTube video. It's so funny. And it's called Shoes. And then he got it like a deal on VH1, and it went away, but they find you. And that's why I like putting our couples therapy, the lockdown improv series that I produced and created in March of 2020. We did season 1, 2, and 3. Season 1 and 2 are on the Sophisticated Psychos YouTube channel. I'll make sure season 3 gets out before the end of the year. But I took all that energy we put out of what we were all going through and creations with my producing partner, Alessandra Levy and Nikki Scorpio. And I took all that energy that we put out and I'm like, how can it be reciprocal? So then I'm like, let's put it on the train tracks of the film festival circuit. And so my season finale of season 3, this is how I align everything. So season finale of season 3 of my podcast, She's All Over the Place, is I have them on, Alessandra Levy and Nikki Scorpio, and we talk about the process of the making of couples therapy and the film festival circuit to educate and add value and inspire and show people like how these independent artists did this. And so it's in the podcast, and then we put it on the film festival circuit and we put it out there and we tell how we did it. And then we had over 900 invitations. We accepted around like 80 so far. And we won we were official selection for over 26 international in London and India and Russia and in so many places in France. We won best web series for 16 of them so far. I won best director and best actor for 3 of them so far. And we just got one that came in today. And I got one, and we got one that came in yesterday. So, cause a lot of them are still like undecided. We had, early bird where you pay the lowest fees and you get them in early. So we have a bunch that are still that haven't been seen yet because, you know, they're not in their season. But I was able to take that and then energetically, internationally put it out there in the film festival circuit. So that was really exciting to do during the pandemic, to create and scale, you know, and have it be reciprocal.
Yeah, no, like this is the thing. I don't know if you've consciously got this strategy, but it's just like, yeah, you're using like one thing to amplify the other, to amplify the other, to amplify the other. And like, so it's like this sort of continuous like feedback loop of positivity.
Exactly. And all the music, Nikki Scorpio puts our music, The Sophisticated Psychos, in all the projects we do. He's the editor. He has a lot more patience than me. I'm the talker.
I wouldn't say that. No.
Yeah. So it really goes hand in hand, you know?
Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Like, so with this, to be a household name. Now, let's just say, for instance, now the podcast gets on to, who knows, Call Me Daddy levels, or a certain like bald-headed gentleman who lives now in Austin. Would you roll with that, or would you still pursue the animation?
Oh, I would have both. They go hand in hand. Why? As a voiceover artist, sometimes the three things happen. One, they say celebrity prototype. I'm a Stone, Scarlett Johansson, Demi Moore, you know, because of my raspy kind of voice. So that, or they'll send, an animation film or a TV like this character or this character. So they give you an idea of what they want it, like very cartoony or play it grounded, very real. They'll give you like the tone of an animation show or movie. The third thing they do, rare, but sometimes, they'll send a clip of a podcast that they want it off the cuff. It's kind of sounding like this person from a podcast. So I want those clients saying, we want her from her podcast. Yes. They go hand, because it's my voice. You know, what the podcast is kind of like a reality TV show. You can do a reality TV show or improv or stand-up as yourself, Katie Chonacas, or Ashton Kutcher with Punk'd, to show his personality. So then directors and producers hire him in the union. So by people seeing my podcast, hearing my podcast, seeing the improv series, they can see my personality. They can see the wacky choices that, you know, that we produced and created. But for the podcast, they can get to know my voice, what I stand for, mental health, the environment, sharing stories, being connected on an international level, energy, ethics, morals, values. They hear my sound and my voice. They want someone like me representing their brand because it aligns with their vision and what they're doing. You know, that's why it's like now you have to be very careful. People on social media, when they're posting things, like when you're posting something, you see people are posting things from a tweet from 10 years ago and what happens, right?
Yeah.
So but that shows your character and who you are, which isn't right or wrong. It just shows where you were, and we're all evolving and growing. So we get to have compassion for our growth, but also like you see the trajectory of how someone was, where they are, where they're going. Right. And it's like, when you have your podcast, you're very specific of who comes on your podcast, not just anyone's on your podcast. You're curating that. Same thing with small brands and big brands out there when they want like talent, you know, to represent them on a commercial or in TV and film or on a podcast. Like if you're going to do the voiceover for my brand, you know, they all go hand in hand with one another. We're all interconnected on that level.
Yeah. Wait, you're a union actor right now, SAG, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I have to ask this because like one of my best friends, he is also a SAG like actor as well. And like I've said to him he should start his podcast, but he goes, no, there's a number of different loops you've got to jump through, this, that, the other. Is there any sort of real obstacles, or is it a case of he's misinformed at this present time?
There are so many podcasts, like whether you're a union or not, like anyone can start a podcast.
So like, okay, I shall.
But maybe he has other stipulations. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just wants to be like the character actor and people don't see his personality, you know? But in nowadays, I can't say what's good for everyone else, but I was very closed off to reality shows. I was asked to be on the Hills. I said, F no. They wanted that Ariana or Adriana girl to be my assistant. And I was like, I don't think so. She was going to be my assistant while I was doing a movie with Jessica Simpson. I got sick. She would go get my flu medicine. She would take my clothes to the cleaner. She would like drive me to the spa. Like she was my assistant. We ended up having a male assistant, Michael George. But because I'm like, no, I don't like, I was like, no way, I'm not being on that show, because I wanted to make it for my craft of acting, scripted acting, not based off like, a reality show. And then reality shows are what they are. But that was just my personal choice back then. Yeah. Maybe that's for people with podcasting. Maybe they don't want to be talking and then be judged, and they just want to be heard for the craft of acting. I don't know. I don't know this person, so I can't say, but everyone has their reasons, but it's definitely not because of being in the union, because anyone can have a podcast. Okay.
I shall have a conversation with him, just like, because yes, you're doing it. You're there, you're present. And it's like, yes, I just wanted to know, because yes, he goes, yes, I have to jump through a number of hoops. I was like,
you can put him in touch with me if you want. He can email me from my website.
Okay, I will. I shall. It's going to happen. But yeah, wow. Now I have to ask. Now, are you aware of the Muppets and Sesame Street?
Of course.
Okay, great. Now, pick a film, any film, what comes to mind? Do you have a film, what comes to mind? Maybe your favorite, maybe not.
I love Amadeus, Milos Forman. Mozart Amadeus is my favorite film.
Okay, right, Amadeus, right. Now, what I want you to do now is take the cast of Amadeus and replace them all with Muppets, except one member of the original cast. Who do you put in to the cast of Amadeus?
I would say, I think Kermie should be Mozart. Okay. I think and I think Miss Piggy should be the antagonist.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. I would want to do it the other way around, but I think it's probably better that way.
Okay.
Because she's so brutal, and she smacks Kermie on the head all the time to get what she wants. And he was, very jealous and envious of Mozart his whole entire life.
I can just see this film playing out with Miss Piggy giving Kermit a karate chop after being shot up. It's like, hi. Is there any other members of the Muppets you would put into there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Cookie Monster could be his wife. Why not?
Yes. Okay. Cookie Monster. Yum. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Now, I'm going to be left with interesting thoughts about this.
I just put that together. That was very unexpected, but we did it, right?
Hey, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we did. That's I now look at you with a slightly okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
I love Miss Piggy growing up. Her blonde hair, her pearls, that pink frock, Miss Piggy, she got what she wanted. She did what she wanted, how she wanted to do it. She was my role model growing up. That's how I learned everything I am, is from Miss Piggy.
Right. I see. There must have been, I feel sorry for many a person who was your romantic paramour at times. Just
Not many, but yeah.
The karate chops were just enough.
Yeah.
It's oh, love it. Now, I have to ask, our time has come to an end, sadly, but can you tell the lovely people out there how they can reach you, how they can find you out on those internets?
Yes, Chonacas.com. It's my last name, Chonacas.com. Loversfairytale.com. It's my new poetry book. You can grab it at Amazon, and Barnes and Nobles is everywhere, Barnes and Nobles. But you can put in your email and I can send you an automation of a Lover's Fairy Tale playlist that I curated for you. And you can see a decade of spoken word music videos that I self-produced and put together. And I rebranded that during the pandemic. But I'm on all social media, Twitter, Katie Chonacas, Instagram, The Sophisticated Psychos. We have Facebook too, Katie Chonacas, The Sophisticated Psychos, Instagram, The Sophisticated Psychos, Chonacas. So and TikTok. I love TikTok, but I'm going to start doing more TikToks. They're so fun. If you're a creative, like director and stuff, it's so fun to do the TikToks.
Okay. Excellent. No problem. What I will do for you lovely people out there, I'll put all of her links into the description or the show notes. So yeah, please find Katie, like connect with her. Yes.
Yeah. And I do industry coaching. So anyone who wants to do my 11X method and industry coach in any area of your life for entertainment purposes, I'm here for you. So just on my website, you can just book a session with me there too.
Outstanding.
We all need coaches. Aaron Spicer, he's Will Smith. When he's on a set, Aaron Spicer is on set with him for 3 months. J-Lo, that's her acting coach. All the best people, no matter who they are, we all have coaches. We have to have coaches to get us out of our own muck, so sometimes I do like a monthly coach where it's like, here's verbatim, boom, here's a list. Come see me in a month. Sometimes I have weekly clients or bi-weekly clients, but just go do this and then come back to me. It's like, it's like, again, being a kid in the candy store, like do all this research, do all these things, then come back to me. And then you see who actually goes and does them and comes back, right? Those are the ones who are serious, who show up for themselves. Absolutely. Put in the work, like you said earlier. You're damn right. If you don't put in the work, you don't get anything. Loving it. Thank you, Katie, for coming on today. You have been... My pleasure. Thank you. I'm so excited to see you in London in the near future. Oh, no doubt. Yes. Probably next year, but yeah. Hey, what can I say? Like, I will take you out, get a couple of drinks in you, and yeah, paint the town red, green, or some form of polka dot. We shall see. Yeah, we'll go to West End and see a play. Absolutely. Don't see why not. Yeah, I love the lastminute.com because when I was a student, you just like, I went to lastminute.com. I would get a ticket for £10. Nothing. Every single time. 44 out of 45 times I was upgraded. I went to like Les Mis 7th row center. Like so I'd have these amazing tickets because if you get the tickets for £10 as a solo ticket, they upgrade you to the 7th row center to amazing seats if you get a solo ticket. There you go. Yeah. There you go. That's a life hacking tip right there. Anyone who's a tourist coming over to the UK, to London West End, yes, take Katie's tips. I think that'll be a good little segue. Katie's tips. Take Katie's tips. There you go. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you, Katie, for coming on today. And I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, who stuck with us to this point. You are superstars. You are amazing. You are fantastic. Please stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic. Be all the positive bees you can be in this world and then some. Have a great day, guys. Love and respect to you. Peace. And we get a kiss right there.